Friday morning, my friends. I am Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day on Fantastic Friday. What is in store for you today? I hope it's good. I'm going to be mowing grass and doing some writing, so pray for me. Don't forget, Sunday morning we have our worship at 8:30 and 11, and Bible study at 9:45. We have Lord's Supper Sunday morning, so come and join us for that. Right now, join me in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, picking up in verse 19. Paul has expressed the depth of his sorrow over his relationship with the Corinthian Christians because they have rejected him, pushed him away, criticized, made fun. And listen to what he says. He says, again, do you think that we excuse ourselves to you? He said, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm not trying to rationalize. I'm just putting it to you as it is. He says, we speak before God in Christ, but we do all things, beloved, for your edification. That's his goal. That's his purpose. That's his mission. That's his ministry. That's what God has called him to do. He says, we're not trying to make you believe something that's not true. We're just simply offering ourselves to you and living the life that God's called us to live because we're speaking before God in Christ. You know what that means? That means Paul says, I'm held accountable for what I do and what I say to you. You don't have to judge me because God is going to judge me. And I got to tell you, it is worse to be judged by God if you're not doing the right things than it is to be criticized by church members. It just is. Because I'm going to tell you, when I get to heaven, what I'm longing for is for God to say, well done, good and faithful servant. I want to be welcomed into my rest, into his rest. And that's the goal. That's the prize. Paul says, I press for the mark of the prize of the high calling in Christ Jesus. What is that? But knowing Jesus and spiritual maturity, growing in who we are in Christ. That's what Paul wants for these Corinthians. He says, everything we do is to build you up. Now, verse 20, he kind of changes gears a little bit. He says, for I fear lest when I come, I shall not find you such as I wish, growing in Christ, loving, caring, compassionate, being the church that God had created them to be. And he says that I shall be found by you such as you do not wish. Paul says, you think I'm weak in presence? He says, wait till I get there. If you've not made that choice to do the right things and to follow Christ, he says, you're going to find out. And you're not going to like what I am when I get there because I'm going to come in power and authority and show you the truth. Now, understand, Paul could say this because he is the founder of their church. He is the apostle. He's the one given that authority by God, and he's going to come and he's going to clean house. Now, listen what he says. Lest there be contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, backbitings, whisperings, conceits, tumults. Listen, you know what he's describing there? He's describing a carnal church. And sadly, it's the description of many of our churches today. It's what grips them. It's their personality. It's their character. You talk to people who have been members of that church, and they'll tell you, this is my church. This is what it's like. Go to their business meetings. You see these kinds of things. People vying for position, wanting to have the authority, looking to control things. Jealousy because somebody else maybe gets a little more attention. Anger, outpouring of wrath, and selfish ambition. All of these things, backbitings, whisperings, gossip, all of that. It happens too often in our churches. And Paul says, verse 21, lest when I come again, my God will humble me among you, and I shall mourn for many who have sinned before and have not repented of the uncleanness, fornication, and lewdness which they have practiced. Now, that might be a little bit shocking that he took this turn. Instead of saying, lest I have to come and humble you through the teachings that will show you the truth of who you are, he says, God will humble me. Why? Because he's the spiritual father of these believers, and they are his responsibility, and he is accountable for who they are as Christians. He feels that very strongly. And he says, when I get there, I hope that you guys have repented. I hope that you've turned around. I hope that you're not following these things that are evil of nature, that are carnal in nature, and that you're truly focused on Jesus Christ. Otherwise, he said, I'm going to take it personally. Pastors do that, you know. We look at the churches that we leave and we see what happens to them afterwards. And I got to tell you, it's more difficult to see a church falling apart after you leave than it is to see them thriving, because that's the goal, to see a church continue to grow under new leadership. That's my prayer. Be blessed. I'll see you back here on Monday.